Hello, Midnight Coders, and welcome back to Spring into Java. I'm your host, Clave. In the last few videos, we built a system that tracks books using their ISBN number, but we're not going to stop at books. Oh no. Today, we're going to expand our application to support movies and TV shows by integrating with the IMDb API. So make sure you've got a full cup of coffee and let's dive on in. In earlier videos, we built a simple but powerful pattern. The user submits an ISBN, our controller validates the request, the service then calls an external API, the response is then mapped into our book model, and then we store that in our database. The great thing about this architecture is that it scales. So today, we're going to apply these exact same patterns to movies and TV shows. So the problem is that unlike books, movies don't have a single identifier like an ISBN. There is an IMDb ID, but that is only unique to IMDb, not to the movie itself. So instead, we search by title, and then the API returns us a list of possible matches. We will be making external calls to the API provider of IMDb, OMDb. You can get to here by the link in the description, and you can tell them that you are, for my case, a free user. I provided them an email address, my name, and my use case. You can do the same. Hit that submit button, and you will get your API key in an email. Once received, you will have to click a link to activate the API key that you just received. And next, we can move into our project where we start with modeling the data that we actually care about. Because you will get a if we pop down to their usages, you can see here the provider that we're looking for. And it will need the API key that we provided. And if we do an example, you see that the JSON that we get back is rather explicit. There's a lot of stuff in here, and if we so we'll throw this here, you'll see that the pretty version of this, if I scroll into it, oh wow, okay, that's not so pretty. That's not so pretty. No, don't zoom in. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. So you can see here that we have things like the title, the year, the rating, um, release date, release plan, when it was released, and yada yada. A whole bunch of stuff in here, and we don't want all of it. We only want bits and pieces of it. So next, we need to model this request. So let's build out some packages here. This one is going to be for film, and we're going to have a controller in there. I'm modeling this similar to this. So we have a model, or sorry, we have a controller. We have a domain. We're going to have a DTO. have a DTO. We'll have an integration, which is technically a DTO, but it's different. Integration. We'll have a repository. And we need a service. Okay, so we're going to start out by going into our domain model, and we're going to model our movie. And if you remember from our previous class, our previous series, this one is going to extend a media type or a media item. Now, this is similar to our book where we told it that this one extends media, and then we had some the specifics of what we wanted to track. So if we come back in here, we can start out by doing some basic things here. Make this an entity, and then we need a table for which is going to be movies. What did I do in here? Unique constraints are going to be, okay. I am going to be adding unique constraints to this one, just not that. So let's copy this, put this here. This is going to be, I'm just going to call this one movies. And this is going to be the IMDb ID. Okay. And next we're going to come down in here and build up a bunch of private fields. For example, there's going to be this one. We're going to have a private string. We're going to have a title. We're going to have a private string released. We're going to have a private string of type, so we know whether it's a movie, TV series, or what. We are going to have a poster, but it's going to be a poster URL. And then we're going to have a string of genres. And then we're going to have a private double, we're going to call it the IMDb rating. And then we're going to have a private instant, which is going to be added at. Okay. So now, what else do we need in here? I'm actually going to copy this annotation for here because I do want this guy to be unique. Okay, and now I need an at persist. So this is going to run this. What happens here is when we go to persist or go to save the movie to our database, this method is going to get called, in which case is us saying that we've now added this. Very simple. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to make a OMDb movie DTO request thing. So this is going to be in our integration. This is going to be a record, and we are going to call this is an OMDb film request, sure. We're going to call it that. And now in here, we are basically going to have the same thing. There we go. But now we need to do a couple of things here. So we want this to be a JSON property, and this one is going to be of IMDb ID. This one has to match the one in the JSON payload. There we go. So you'll see here, drop this over here, that these here need to match verbatim with over here. So I'm going to take this guy, going to copy it, paste it here without anything, and then I'm going to copy this, throw it here, and now title is title, when it was released is released, genre is genres, poster is the poster URL, IMDb rating is rating that I haven't done yet. This is the IMDb rating, which is going to be IMDb rating. And type is type. And that is all I truly care about. Anything else can just be ignored. And now for how I'm kind of modeling this is similar to this guy, which also tells me that I need this, so that I can ignore the unknown properties. There we go. So this is just basically the same idea as that. So there's that taken care of. There's our model taken care of. So next, we need a way to store the data. So we need to create a repository for it. Be an interface, and and this is going to be a film repository. I think I'm adding this into the wrong spot, but I'll just move it. Film repository, which is coming down into here. Refactor, there we go. Okay, so now we have a film repository, which is going to read the JPA. Okay. So this guy is going to extend JPA repository, and again, it needs identifiers, it needs the object, in which case we are calling it apparently movie, not film, and long is our type. That is our ID type. So now the next thing that we need to do is build out our service. All right, so now I've got a film repository. I've also made a film service interface, which consists of the CRUD operations. Now I've got a film service implementation, which takes care of the implementation side. We haven't actually written anything in here, but now we have the foundations. Next thing we need to do is take a look at our controller, and we need to make a, well, no, technically first we need to start toying with information. So let's look at creating our film. Let's go and make a few changes here first. So first thing we have to do is mark this as a service. And I'm also going to slap on a required args constructor so that I'm not writing everything out here. So final, we're going to take in the repository, take in that, and then I also want, where'd you go? The REST client is the other thing I want, because if I remember correctly from here, no, it is, no, this is the service. If I remember from here, I did the same thing. Okay, and now we get out of here. Okay, so we're going to take the film data and build film. Okay, so first thing I have to do is come into here, and this is getting renamed films, and this bad boy is getting renamed to film. Jeez, if I can rename file, and that should. All right, so I went through and I did a little refactor because I was tired of this saying film everywhere or movie everywhere when it's a movie or a show, so it's technically a film. I just wanted to do that for my own OCD. So now we need a way to create this film. So we're going to go in and take in this request data and map it to a film. And so next, I want a way to be able to get a film by an ID. So here we're going to pop into the film repository. Otherwise, we're going to throw a runtime conniption fit that the file was not found. Same idea here, except I have to go into the repository and create this method. So this one is going to be an optional not quite. Okay, and we're going to find by there we go, find by IMDb ID. So now we come in here and we say film repository dot find by IMDb ID, or else throw a runtime conniption fit. Next, find film by author. Well, that seems like a typo. We're gonna do title by this. And we're gonna go back into here and find by title. Okay, and then I gotta come back in here and see if we can find a, we'll call it a collection. Okay, so now what we're gonna do here is a fun little thing. We're gonna find by title, and then we're gonna use containing ignore case. So this does a search by title, but allows us to only put in part of a title. We can put in the full title, like for example, The Matrix. But like, let's say we wanted something like Saw. and we had SAW1, SAW2, SAW3, SAW4, SAW5, SAW6, SAW7. So we want to find, say, a collection of films that we have in our database by title. So we put in SAW, but now we're going to get back everything containing SAW. So SAW1, SAW2, SAW3, SAW4, SAW5. This could be bad because it could be. So maybe we should do it starts with. So now we're going to do starting with rather than contains, because now that I thought that through, the word SAW, SAW, could probably appear in a lot of other movie titles. So now we're going to do this with containing by starting with. So I'm going to copy that bad boy. We're going to get out of here. We're going to come back to here. And we're just going to go into the film repository dot find all by yada yada yada, starting with title. This is a collection. Da, da, da. I'm just going to come back in here, and this is just going to be a list because I don't want to fight with it. All right. Find all, that seems pretty straightforward. Film repository stuff, find all. There we go. And that almost builds our entire service. We'll do the update one, which is going to more or less be, so to speak, that. Yeah, that'll work for now, I suppose. And then we're going to same thing, return the saved version. All right. These are all just overridden methods that we're implementing. So next we're going to be writing our own methods in here. For example, fetch movie. Set fetch movie by title. And we're going to be using the REST client to make an external request for that. So here, we're going to do a public something similar to that. And then here we're going to we're going to use the REST client to get the URI, which we'll pass in here. And then we're going to retrieve that data, and I want the body of that to be a new parameterized type, which is going to be that of the OMDb film request. And that's all I want from that. And then I am going to return a list.of. This is going to be a reply. And, ooh, not what I wanted to do. Get out of there. List.this.of reply. Oh wait, no, I gotta make that into a film first, that's right. So I'm going to var film, create film, reply, return list of film. Is that not what I want? Film. I'm gonna call this fetch. Okay, so this is gonna do all of this magic. get the reply and then return this. Okay. So up here, I want to make a frig. You know what? I'm doing it here just for the sake of doing it, and then we'll expose this later. So I'm going to have a private final, because this is going to probably be an interface of its own that I'm going to do later. But for now, private final API key. Or maybe I don't need it to be a final string. Maybe that doesn't need to be final because I'm not actually setting it there. So let's put you down here, lowercase u to just API key, and we'll slap a value. Yeah, we'll do that, I suppose. .omdb .api key. We'll do that. I'll set that up in a minute. And then I also want a private string base API URL, and this is going to come from that. I'm going to open up this. We're going to slap this off to the side. I'm going to make a new annotation here for the OMDb API, and this is where we're going to add the OMDb. Nope, this is going to be this, and then we got this guy. Okay, this is going to be base URL is that API key and T for title, and this is going to be $, this OMDb API key. Okay, so yes. So we're going to have the base URL, then we're going to add on our API key and our movie title. And that is going to return this. All right, so I am going to make a minor change to this because I did do a little check, and it is just, in fact, a single film that comes back. So in our case, we can just reply like this. Okay. So there's how we're going to fetch a movie by title. So now next, I do need to sanitize this this title a little bit. We're going to call this the formatted title, and we're simply going to replace all spaces with pluses because that's the way that the OMDb does it. So if we were to do like the matrix, it's going to append a plus in the in between. So the plus matrix. So just to satisfy that, we're going to sanitize. We're going to format the string to be expected. All right. So next we need a controller to be able to tell it what we want to search. So this one's going to be a film controller. This one is going to be a REST controller. Sure, we'll call it that. import that, and I want my required args constructor in here so that I can come in here and we can have a private final service implementation, and then I can have a get mapping title, which I'm going to have return a response entity of film. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so now we're going to return OK film. So this will give us an endpoint so that we can attempt to search for a film. All right, so now if we run this, see if it happens, see if it works. Looks like it worked. So if we look for film by title, and I think that's on 8080. I don't think we specified it. Okay. And now we want to search for a title. I'm just going to put in saw for now. Okay, come on now. And if I submit this request, look at that. So it did look for it did go ahead and give us a 200, everything's okay. This is the added at time, the genres, its unique ID for us, its IMDb ID, we can see the rating, the media type is null because I forgot to set that. In here, create film. Film dot set media type. And there's movie. Is there TV? No, just movie and game. Then we have games. Okay, so this is of type movie. I realistically should have named that film, but we're gonna go with that. So there's that. And now we have a way of storing these movies in our database. How do we handle these for? Because I know I can't just say saw 2. Oh, I can. Look at that. And we go on to the saw. There's saw 2. 2 added. We'll add 3. 4. 5. 6. 7 doesn't exist. Okay. So we've added the 6 saws to our case, or to our database. And if we were to pop into our database, and we have to stop the whole service first. But if we come here, give it a refresh, you'll see now that we have films in here. And if we open this up, you'll see that we have this, and all of these are going to be of type movie. I think that's how I'm saving that. If not, we're going to find out. But anyway, you can see that we have all of our information, including our posters. So next thing that we need to do is add a web page to view our movies like we did our books. So this is our controller for getting our films, and this is our film view controller for viewing our film. So I wrote this out ahead of time just to save some, or I wrote this off camera just to save some time. You can see that our mapping is films. We're then implementing our filming service, our film service, where we are fetching all of our films, adding it to a list, and returning to an HTML page called films. Inside of here, bare bones title films. This is our just again another header for films. It could be MediaStack films. Like anyway, so now we're creating another table, and we're saying that the table body is going to be in here, and we're making for each row, we're going to make a table row, and for each film inside of films, we want to stick the poster on the left in one table data, and then we're going to go to the right for the next table data. So this will be the left column, right column. This right column is going to be built up of a few different divs to give us the information about the film. So what does this look like all brought together? Let's run our program. Let's open our browser. Flashbang! Wow. Okay. And we're going to go to FILMS and look at this. If we come here, we see films. We've got our poster on the left and our information on the right for all of our Saw movies that we added. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that simple? All right. So now, before the coffee runs out, let's recap what it is that we just did. So I know a lot went on. A lot of stuff went on with this one. Um, so we took what we previously learned in our previous series or previous few videos, and we compacted all into one video. We managed to model the data that we want to store. We model the requested data that we want from the payload of the third party. We built a REST client that could make the GET request for us, and we then mapped what we got to what we want. We saved what we want, and then we created a quick little view to see what exactly it is that we got back. Simple. Very, very simple. Now, in the next video bit, we're going to take this a step further, and we're going to show you how we can do video games. Because let's face it, we're all a little bit nerdy. We all like games. So we're going to utilize the Steam API so that we can punch in a very similar idea, punch in a video game name, get back a result, map what we get to what we want, and store it. So if that sounds good to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss a beat. And thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you learned something new. If you did, drop a like so that we can find more developers. And if you know someone else who's learning, make sure to share this with them. Until next time, keep your curiosity open, your skills sharp, and that coffee cup full. I'll catch you in the next one.